Okay. All right. We're live. Philip, yes, I believe you're correct. I think it is the latest live stream I've ever done. I'm not really that much of a late person. So, yeah, I tend to do my live streams early evening and get done before, way before this kind of time. But this is a bit of a spur of the moment live stream, as many of them tend to be with me. But, yeah, just kind of bored, really. Um, and I realized I haven't done a live stream in about 6 months. So, yeah, why not do one now? I don't know if you guys can tell, but I actually have a new microphone too. And I might need one of you guys to let me know how it sounds because I'm not too sure. I've done a few tests and it seems okay. But obviously, you guys are the listeners. So I need you guys to let me know if you can hear me okay. It might sound a little bit different than usual. But all right. Okay. Cheers, Philip. How we doing, people? How we doing? As the title of this suggests, it's going to be aimless chat. So anything goes. Anything goes. Obviously, got some boxing taking place this weekend, and yeah, we can talk about that. We can talk about anything. I just want to interact with you guys because it's been way too long. Um, all right, cool. So got LJR24 in the chat. Sounds all good. I hope you're well, mate. Yeah, I'm very well. Thank you. I'm busy, as you can probably tell. Lack of uploads, lack of live streams, but trying to stay on top of things. Got some got some things on the horizon, some developments. So yeah, just trying to get through it. But yeah, I'm all good. Thank you. Judan Deis, is that it? Good to have you here, my friend. We have the legend in the house, G-Man. Salute. Um, yes, G-Man, how you doing, bro? It's good to have you here. Probably not going to go on for too long, maybe half an hour or so, but short and sweet. And yeah, let's talk some boxing. The mic I got, it is the the brand is Zeal Sound, and I've never actually heard of this brand before. It says Zeal Sound Professional Studio Microphone. Um, I'm not an audio guy. That is Hatman and Henry's area of expertise, but it looks good. It was actually a present from the dearest Mrs. Outmatch. Yeah, very thoughtful. I've had the same mic for about 3 years, so she got me an upgrade. And yeah, I hope it sounds good. It's got a load more features, so I can turn like the echo up. I'm not going to do that because it'd be really obnoxious. But when I was testing it earlier, the echo was turned all the way up, and it sounded like I was in an empty shopping mall or something. But no, see how it goes. I'll probably just stick with this one because, at least to my ear, it does sound quite a bit better than my other one. And I'm hoping that it doesn't muffle too much because I know before a lot of people would complain that my voice was too quiet in videos. So I'm hoping this one is a bit sharper, picks up my voice a bit more. Judan says, got a feeling Miller might beat Ruiz. Yeah, you know what? If I had to put money on it, I probably would pick Miller. Not because I see him as being so much better than Ruiz, because I don't. I'd say that Ruiz is actually the better natural talent. And obviously he's achieved more in his career, although you could say, or at least at this rate, it's starting to look like Ruiz maybe caught lightning in a bottle with that Anthony Joshua win. But nevertheless, I'd say Ruiz is definitely the more capable fighter, the more impressive fighter on his day. But he's just been out of the ring so long. His inactivity has just been awful for Andy Ruiz. His last fight was, let me see if I can do it off the top of my head, Luis Ortiz. That was, and even that was September 2022, nearly 2 years ago. That is not good enough. Not good enough. Before that was Chris Ariola. That was 3 years ago. So in the space of 3 and a bit years, he's had 4 fights. What was it? 2 fights in great maths. Um, in the space of 5 years, he's had 4 fights. That is pretty woeful. And we know Andy Ruiz. Uh, he doesn't have the best discipline. I think it's clear he has. Uh, he's a compulsive eater. I think has no self-restraint when it comes to food, and it's going to cost him dearly because he is a fighter with an immense amount of talent, but just holding himself back. I don't know if there's any kind of managerial, promotional issues behind the scene. I suspect it's just a byproduct of being with PBC because they, inactivity is a problem for all their fighters. But just based on that, I think I have to give the edge to Miller. Miller he looked a bit flat, very flat against Dubois. Although I did pick him to beat Dubois, I just thought he would be able to grind Dubois down. But to be fair, Miller does look like he's in decent shape. He does look like he's really put in the hours. And I know we can never be too sure with this guy because he might be uh, he might still be a chemical baby, as proper boxing said. I watched his video earlier. Yeah, he called Jarrell Miller a chemical baby. That made me chuckle. But I suspect, even though Miller hasn't looked great, at least he's been active or relatively active. Obviously he hasn't fought since December, but it's better than nothing. He fought twice in 2023, twice in 2022. So I think Miller, but I think this is going to be a close one. I don't think there's going to be a clear winner. I see this one probably going the distance, and I think it would be a pretty competitive back and forth. I didn't do a pre-fight video on this one just because I can't. I think it's going to be so difficult to gauge where Ruiz is. Ruiz on his day should be dealing with Miller, but I don't think Ruiz is there at all. So anyway, I think it'll be a good fight though. Nevertheless, I think it will be a good fight. Daniel Woods, the physique of the female boxer looked very suspect. Yeah, I've seen a load of. Obviously, it's the thumbnail. I didn't actually plan. I wasn't going to talk about it, but I knew eventually someone would bring it up. So I was like, you know what? Let me just bait some people in, and someone's going to bring it up anyway. Yeah, this whole thing, this controversy. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not paying attention to the Olympics at all. I just can't bring myself to. I wasn't particularly excited for it anyway. When it comes to Olympic Games, I really just focus on the sports I'm interested in. And even then, I know this is going to probably sound like a blasphemy to some, but I don't even really care for amateur boxing as a whole. Professional boxing is more my cup of tea. And even then, I tend to just focus on the fights I'm interested in, particularly heavyweights. But yeah, I wasn't interested in the Olympics, but all the controversies, regarding the opening ceremony and now this boxing controversy with this Algerian boxer, I believe. Yeah, it just turns my stomach, man. I can't be asked. Can't be asked. I can't even bring myself to just watch the Olympic Games casually because part of me just doesn't want to give it any airtime. Don't want to pay it any mind. Which is a shame because it's the pinnacle of sport. And I love sport. I live for sport. Even if it's a sport I don't do, I appreciate it, because sport is such uh, a unique experience in the human existence. But yeah, it's just turns my stomach, as I say, and it just reflects what's going on in society as a whole, which is pretty sickening, I must say. But Hey, let's focus on the good. We got some good boxing coming up this weekend. Philip asks, "What are my predictions for the USA card?" You know what? To be honest, I don't know if you guys saw my prediction video for Terence Crawford versus Madrimov. The card as a whole, I think it's cool. Like it's right, but I don't think it's this record-breaking card or anything really special. And so a lot of the fights, once again, I think I'm becoming a little bit of a casual fan in the sense of like the amount of boxing I watch. Obviously, I've got decent knowledge of boxing, but I'm not really putting it to good use because I'm not really focusing on any of these fights. But you know, um, the early fights, the two at the bottom, I don't know any of these guys. Andy Cruz versus Antonio Moran. I've seen Moran once. I've seen Cruz bits and pieces of him. I just don't really care, if I'm honest. Isaac Cruz, I enjoy watching him versus Jose Valenzuela. I don't actually know him, so I know his name. That's about it. Oh, just gone on his record. I see he's the one who um, beat Chris Colbert or Colbert. Is he the one who knocked him out? Yes, I remember that. I can't. I remember the knockout, but I just can't remember the performance itself. But that would probably be a fun fight. I can't. I'm not well enough informed to pick a winner. Um, when it comes to Jarrell Miller versus Andy Ruiz, as I say, I'm favouring Miller ever so slightly, showing my bias obviously towards heavyweights. Martin Bakoli versus Jared Anderson. That's an interesting one. One I've gone back and forth on in my mind. Initially, I was thinking Martin Bagoli probably has this one in the bag. Um, Not that I'm like really high on Bagoli, because I'm not, but he's good. He's a unique style. Um, and I just, there's something about Jared Anderson. He's got a certain degree of natural talent and natural ability. Although I don't think he's the next best thing at heavyweight. Maybe time will tell and he matures a bit, but physically, in terms of the way he boxes, it's very scatty sometimes. Um, and he fights with a lot of confidence. And that kind of relaxation is really impressive to see in a fighter. But when he just does, questionable things in the ring, like his positioning is a bit off, his defensive maneuvers are a bit. Offensively, he's pretty good though. He's pretty creative, and he's got decent dexterity for a guy of his size, Jared Anderson. But what concerns me the most, his defensive lapses aside, is his mindset. I just, I look at him and I can't take that video, that clip out of my head of when he's doing that bit of media of Roy Jones Jr. and he's crying. It's really concerning me. Um, and now fighters cry. Some of the toughest fighters have cried, shed a tear in the ring. It's not the be all and end all, but this guy hasn't done anything. He's fought Charles Martin, and that's it. Um, and he's talking about. I remember when he's talking to Roy Jones, and he's, all the pressure that's on him. And he was like, "Oh, but what if?" I think he was talking about himself in third person. He was like, "Oh, what if Jared don't want this pressure on him? What if he doesn't want this attention on him, mate? If you don't want it, don't box. Simple." Um, And why is he like crying? It's just weird, man. It's so weird. And I just think there's a bit of a maybe an maybe he's got a bit more of an inner child in him that I don't know is a bit too I don't know is a bit too much of it's too big a part of his personality. I don't know. I'm just trying to interpret it. But yeah, I don't like Jared Anderson's mindset, and I do think eventually if he comes across someone who can really put the pressure on him, not necessarily from like a trash talking point of view, but physically in the ring, someone who's not just gonna um, roll over, basically, who's going to put up some stern resistance. I think we're going to probably start to see Jared Anderson looking a bit worse for wear. However, I do think that he probably does have the beating of Martin Bacoli. I'm going to say, I think this one is unlikely to go to points. I think someone does get stopped. I suspect it will be Jared Anderson stopping Bacoli. I don't think it's going to be a dramatic stoppage. I think he's just going to be he'll probably he'll probably hurt Bacoli, probably wobble him, and I don't know, maybe just follow up, really let his hands go, force a referee stoppage, something like that. That's what my gut is telling me. Um, yeah, I don't say that with much confidence, though. Don't say that with much confidence. Um, but then we get to David Morrell versus Kaladzic, aka Hot Rod. Um, seen Kaladzic fight before. I saw his fight against Artur Beterbiev, which he was most known for. Yeah, Kaladzic on his day, he can be a handful. I don't think he's going to be one of these guys who's like challenging for world titles anytime soon, but I think he knows his way around a ring. I'm definitely not picking him to win. I think this is a David Morrell showcase in this one, but I'm not sure how impressive he's going to look because I'm going to say something that might be a little bit controversial, but I really don't see anything that special with David Morrell. For my money, he kind of falls into a similar mold as uh, Subriel Matias, in that a lot of people rave about him, but by my eye test, I just see a pretty, good, talented fighter, but not someone who's a boogeyman in the division, who's going to go on to become undisputed, and it's just a matter of time. I don't see that. I got to be honest. So yeah, I expect Morrell to win, but I think it'll probably be a bit of a not a dud, but maybe we see him look a bit one paced. I suspect he's probably going to get um, a decent result. He might be able to stop Kaladzic, but I think in the meantime, like leading up to it, he's probably not going to look great. I don't know. Just I've had a look at Morrell. I've watched a few of his fights. He hasn't really fought anyone of any note. Um, going down his record now, uh, Yerbosinale, he's a Kazakh. I believe he actually suffered quite a bad injury after fighting Morrell. Um, other than him, Alantes Fox, he's not really any good. He got stopped by Demetrius Andrade back in the day. He's a big, tall guy. He's like 6'5" at light middle. Yeah, Demetrius Andrade beat him on points back in 2017. I know Liam Williams also, he knocked out Alantes Fox pretty badly. Just tore through him like he was made out of wet tissue. So yeah, David Morrell, good, solid, but not massively impressive by my eye. But he should be beating Kaladzic. And then, of course, the main event. I'm going Crawford. In case you haven't seen my video, yeah, I think Crawford's got this in the bag. Madrimov, solid but unspectacular. A little bit rough around the edges considering he's come through the Uzbek amateur system. I think, and I said this in my video, I think people are a little bit carried away with Madrimov based on what they've seen of his highlight reel. If you actually watch Madrimov fight, I don't think he's that spectacular. He has these moments where it's, oh, wow, look at that guy. The reflexes, the agility, the athleticism. But I don't really see much boxing nuance when it comes to Madrimov. And now he's probably strong enough, rugged enough, powerful enough to hurt Bud if he lands, but I just don't think he's going to be landing anything all that significant. Bud Crawford is, I think he's like real top tier elite. And is is Jay in the chat? Is he in the chat? I always like to. No, Jay's not here. Not JD, but Jay. Because Jay was obviously picking Spence to beat Crawford, and I was picking Crawford to beat Spence, and I was right. And I always like to remind him of that. But it's all good. It's all fun and games. I think Crawford really is top tier, whereas Madrimov, I kind of see him as. I know this sounds a bit of an oxymoron, but like a standard world level boxer. You know, he's got world level talent, but I don't think he's the like real cream of the crop elite. Um, so yeah, I'm going Crawford, wide UD, 10-2, 9-3, something of that nature. A very clear Bud Crawford victory on points. Maybe he'd score a knockdown of Madrimov because Madrimov can be a little bit wild sometimes, be out of position if he lunges in. Maybe he touches down, but I think he's probably tough enough that he can survive the 12 rounds. I think he might just get frustrated by Terence Crawford. LJR, looking at uploading any more Candleman videos, was loving that content. Well, firstly, thanks. I appreciate that because honestly, those videos were pretty much just me waffling into the mic and yeah, seeing what stuck. I'd pretty much just speak my thoughts. Yeah, I'm sooner or later I'm going to get round to it. It's not something that's been on the forefront of my mind for a couple of reasons. Firstly, I've been really busy recently. Like for those of you who don't know, I am in the last 4 weeks of my master's degree, and for those of you who don't know, when you do an undergraduate in the UK, you have 2 terms a year over 3, 4, 5 years, whatever program you're doing. And so those 2 terms, the first one goes from October to December. The second one goes from like late January, February till May. But postgraduate level, so masters and the like, you have those same terms, but then you have a summer term as well, which is like beginning of June until the beginning of September. So I'm in my last term. I've got not a lot of work, but some important pieces of work. So I'm having to dedicate a lot of time to that. I'm also, I will be going back to work in September. So pretty much as soon as I've handed in my last bits of work at uni, I'll be going back to work probably the same week. And not only am I going back to work, but I'm taking on double the responsibility. I've essentially just I'm moving into a head position. Before, where I was like a kind of working as part of a team, now I'm heading up operations. So I'm going to have a lot of responsibility managing dozens of athletes all by myself. So yes, I'm having to prepare a lot and just generally just busy, obviously with life, training, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that I try and upload something, particularly of Outmatch Boxing, that channel, because it's established. So I want to keep it afloat. The Candyman videos I will get back to for sure when I have more time. That is not priority right now. And to be fair, I don't really have much to touch on. So I'll definitely find some topics. And hey, LJR, if there's anything of that kind of nature that you want me to cover, by all means, I'll take recommendations. Because as I say before, I was just pretty much just waffling into the mic, and I don't know, some of you guys loved it, which I appreciate. But yeah, definitely. I can't say when, but as soon as I get time and and an idea, I'll definitely upload to there again. But yeah, thanks for that. It's good to know that someone likes the videos. G-Man says, Ben Shalom missing his own show to go to LA shows where he's does he have a show? You're saying you forgot, mate. I didn't even know. Who's Ben Shalom show? Um, wait, is it Zach Chelly? Yes, I'm pretty sure it's him, isn't it? Zach Chelly, he fights on Sky, doesn't he? Yes. Oh, wow. I can see why he's doing a runner. This show's it's not great. When you got Caroline Dubois as a chief support or co-main, I don't know what it is. Says a lot. But Zach Chelly, I've been watching this guy for a while. Um, he's a fun fighter. I remember there was one of his fights he had at York Hall, and he fought like an absolute madman. It was hilarious. Like some of the combinations he was letting off were just, it's like, what? This guy is just insane. But yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be tuning into this. Yeah, as I said, I can understand why Ben Shalom is jetting off to LA for bigger and better things. Does he represent someone who's on the LA card? Does he have some kind of working relationship with Bacoli? Because let's check. Honestly, guys, I'm so out of touch with boxing. I mean, I don't really focus too much on that stuff anyway, but I've just been living under a rock for a while. JD, how you doing, my friend? Yeah, long time. I feel like I haven't spoken to you for a while, and I've just realised how far behind I am with the comments. I am way back. Let's get through these a little bit quicker. Just waffling right now. There's a box show in Barnsley. Yeah, that's what I just spoke about. Ben Shalom isn't there to promote it. Instead, he's out in America. Okay, yeah. So you just answered my question, Philip. Yeah, look, I didn't even rate Ben Shalom as a promoter. I think he hasn't got much personality. I don't think he promotes anything very well. He just came out of the blue, got a gig at Sky, and yeah, he hasn't done a whole lot with it. So I wonder if he's going to get the boot soon. I'm thinking I should change my pick. Big Pharma might pull this one off. Yeah, I'm going to go Miller. Not by much, probably like 55-45 in favor of Miller. But you just don't know. You can never know with this guy. Is Miller any good without the multivitamins, and what's Ruiz going to be like with the inactivity? Which is another thing that I have to bring up in regard to the quality of the card. Because look, fair play. If you like this card, if you can't wait, if you think it's amazing, I'm happy for you. But I just don't see it, man. Terence Crawford stepping up a weight class to fight Madrimov. Okay, cool. Terence Crawford, in many people's book, he's pound for pound number one. Madrimov, tough, talented, but unproven, I think it's fair to say. David Morrell, up and coming talent himself, is unproven, going up against Kaladzic. Yeah. Okay, maybe a showcase potentially. Jared Anderson versus Bacoli, that's a good fight. I can't fault that one. But then even when we get to one I am interested in as well, Miller and Andy Ruiz, I'd say Ruiz has been out the ring for so long. We have absolutely no idea what kind of condition this guy's going to come into the ring. I'm bugging out. We have no kind of idea what kind of condition he's going to be in. Nearly 2 years. Like, is that really premium product? I don't think it is. And then, of course, you got some other fights. Isaac Cruz versus Jose Valenzuela. I know some people are pretty high on that one. Fair play. Cruz has proven himself to be a very entertaining fighter. Andy Cruz, yeah, he's... I can't bring myself to really pay too much attention to these Cuban fighters. And I was someone who once upon a time, I enjoyed watching Rigondo, Erislandy Lara, believe it or not. Funny that. Lara isn't a very entertaining fighter for the most part, but one of my favorite fights of the modern era is his Lara's fight against Alfredo Angulo. That if you haven't seen that fight, watch it because it's fantastic. Um, but yeah, Cuban fighters, yeah, they're just. I guess David Morrell's kind of bucking the trend, but I don't know. It just seems as being a bit standard. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a bit miserable. I'm trying not to be. I think it's good card, but it's not amazing in my eyes. JD, yes, it's been a long time since the last live stream, so I kind of it's like, damn, man, got to be a bit more consistent. But no, I think, as I say, I've been busy the past few months, but tried to get the videos out. Um, Especially when I get a moment, I can just put a few out and you guys can interact with them. Daniel Woods, Miller off the juice is nothing special. Punch volume is gone and stamina is gone. Ruiz by decision, hand speed, left, right, with variety will land lots. I mean, I can't argue with that. I don't think there's anything outrageous about that. It's just Ruiz out of the ring 23 months. That's not insignificant. And it's not like he's been out of the ring for 23 months and I'm sure he's been locked away monk mode, just focusing on the next time he can get out. No, I'm sure he's been stuffing his face with burgers and hot dogs and I don't know, tacos, burritos, enchiladas. I don't know. I don't trust Andy Ruiz, but we'll see. We'll see. I do anticipate a good fight. Ruiz was looking sharp at the media workout, but been inactive for too long. Well, that's Gorgaruga. That's a good point because a lot of people are going to look at that and think, okay, Ruiz looks sharp. He looked sharp at the open workout, so that's it. That says it all. Well, you have to factor in Ruiz has been boxing a long time, which is one of the funny thing that people always call Andy Ruiz like a fat Mexican bum, or they call him a cab driver. And obviously, it's to basically have a dig at AJ and make out like that loss is something, some kind of damning indictment when it's not. Anyone who knows boxing knows Andy Ruiz is a serious operator. His problems tend to lie outside the ring with his discipline, but in the ring, he's a very dangerous hombre. Trust me. Like he's been pro since 2007, I believe. So oh no, that's I'm looking at his amateur career. But Andy Ruiz boxed at a pretty decent level as an amateur, and uh, I'm not sure what age he started boxing, but I think he was a kid. So this is someone who's been boxing his whole life. Excuse me. And so him looking sharp at the media workout, I can't buy too much into that because all he's ever known is boxing. Andy Ruiz has probably forgotten more about boxing than any of us will ever know. That's how long he's been doing it. So the proof is in the pudding. We'll have to see. But yeah, as I say, I'm favouring Miller just because of the activity. I do think Ruiz is a more talented fighter, though, a more impressive fighter when he's not morbidly obese, or too morbidly obese, I should say. Philip, I think Jalalov is taking part in the Olympics. Am I wrong? No, he is. I believe he actually fought today. I didn't see it, but I saw some guys talking about it. Yeah, Jalalov, I don't know what to make of. I think he's a serious puncher. That is that's obvious. I think he's a very basic fighter, but he makes it work. Keep it simple. Simple's not bad. Simple's just simple, as I say. But I'm not sure about Jalalov's mindset. He's already had pro fights. He already had a bit of traction. People getting behind him, thinking that he's going to be the next best thing in boxing, like a real player at heavyweight. But he wants to go back to the Olympics. Obviously, he comes from a part of the world where Olympic gold means a hell of a lot. Like, they don't really care about anything else in Eastern Europe and Central Asia. Olympic gold, get that and you're good. You're already seen as a legend in many people's eyes. But really, like, turning pro and then going back, I think that in my mind, just my gut feeling, I think there might be some kind of maybe mental fragility when it comes to Jalov. Maybe he's a bit of a bully, a bit of an on-top fighter. Um, and yeah, maybe he's one of these guys who wants to pick on amateurs because there's a big difference between being a high-level amateur and a high-level pro. Part of the reason why a lot of people don't watch amateur boxing is because the quality is, you know, it's a chasm in many cases. Not always, but that would be the exception. But for the most part, it's a different ball game. And Jalalov, I don't know, man. I think that says a lot about his character. But I could be wrong. Time will tell. I don't think it's a good look. G-Man says 2028 Olympic, I believe, is in LA. If you think it's bad, oh yeah, gosh, LA. That's Silicon Valley, isn't it? God, hopefully the pendulum has swung back the other way by then, but that's going to be rough if it's anything like if they try and top what they did this year in Paris. Boy, what a cesspit. JD says Miller versus Ruiz, aka Battle of the Cookie Monsters. Yeah, it's true. Ruiz on paper really should win this fight, but inactivity will catch up. You're going to pick Ruiz over Miller? Hey, fair enough, man. But yeah, just on that. Excuse me, guys. I'm just readjusting. Yeah, I remember years ago. I know Hatman brings it up, but Jarrell Miller actually commented on one of his videos. I can't remember when it was, maybe 2018 or something around that kind of time. Hatman said he wanted to see Ruiz versus Miller, Battle of the Fat Boys. And yeah, they are a couple of fat bastards, those two. Daniel Woods in the sit down with Miller and had a Andy Ruiz sounded a bit punchy. Yeah, Andy Ruiz has sounded like that for a while. He's not the sharpest tool in the shed, so I don't think that helps. But as I say, he's a guy who's been boxing for a long time, and he's not exactly defensively blessed. And so, yeah, he's probably going to fumble his words, probably going to sound a bit punchy, which always makes me wince. There's nothing worse. Obviously, when I was boxing as a teenager, I was in and out in different gyms, and you meet old fighters who probably fought at area or British or Commonwealth level, whatever. Guys who all they've ever done is box, and meeting someone in person who's punch drunk, or it used to make my skin crawl. Like at the time when I was focused on boxing, I thought it was going to be my life. I was able to kind of block it out, but looking back, I was like, man, that is rough. That is, it's. I never get used to it. You know, hearing someone who's taking too many punches speak when they're showing signs of being punched. Like, ooh, nah, man, there's more to life. JD. Oh, of course, this question's a bit late. I'm getting to it, but yeah, obviously coming to an end with my degree. Work is popping off. Got some time off from work because I work with in a sports academy, so it's like term times with the school. So I'll be going back in the new academic year in September. That's really it. But just moving on to a new chapter. Less studying, more working, more money. I'll skip forward a little bit. Just gonna Jared is zesty, just like Haney and Shakur. Saw someone at top rank say they're gonna get. Yeah, those guys, they're all a bit weird. Especially, I don't know if you guys saw Haney dancing in a bowling alley when the result got overturned with his fight against Ryan Garcia. He was, yeah, I don't know what that boy was wearing, but it was questionable. Yeah, I saw Miller talking smack to Jared, stun him into silence. I just don't think Jared's that bright. I don't think he was really nervous. I think he was just like trying to play it cool and maybe just he's probably like, you know what, I can't beat this guy in a verbal exchange, so I'm just gonna stay quiet and pretend that I don't care. I think that's what it was. Yeah, JD, I told you, man. It's been a while too. I'm trying to catch up with you guys. 286. Hello, up match. Mentioned in the previous video that you're doing weightlifting now. How's that progressing? Yeah, yeah, it's going well. Still training only a couple of days a week. Actually, that's partly the reason why this one was late. It's because I have training on Fridays, so I don't really finish until 9 o'clock. It's all going good, man. Hit a few PBs the other day. Nothing special. Uh, Snatch is about body weight. I got 75 kilos, so I'm about 2.5, 3 kilos off body weight. Clean and is jerk is at 90, clean is at 100, best front squat's 105. So I'm really pushing the narrow margins. But yeah, it's all good. Back on a schedule now. Lots of complexes, getting the work capacity up. Spending a lot of time under the bar, but loving every moment of it. Loving every moment. Thanks for asking. Uh, Canelo versus Crawford. I think Crawford could do it. Um, Canelo, I think, has seen better days. Crawford, maybe himself has seen better days, but could you imagine the Crawford if he approached that fight similar to how he did against Postal? And I know Postal's obviously a different stylistic matchup, but I think Crawford could do it. I think he could, but obviously we're going to have to see how Saturday goes. JD, no, I will not be giving a face reveal. Firstly, because I like my privacy. Secondly, you guys don't need to see my face. Really, I'm really nothing spectacular. My voice will do. We've got Ben in the house. Good to have you here, mate. I think it's been a while since you were able to join one of the lives, so hope you're doing well. Did Zhang expose Wilder, or has Wilder's inactivity caught up to him? Both. Wilder was inactive, which never helps, but Zhang showed that Wilder was never this heavyweight who's in his own league, because there was always this narrative that it's Tyson Fury, he's top of the pile, he's in his own league, and then the only one who comes close to him is Wilder. But even then, he's not good enough. He's not good enough to be the Gypsy King. But Wilder's still head and shoulders above the rest. BS. And Joseph Parker showed it. Zhang showed it, just like that. Those, you guys will know, I picked Zhang to win, and I got that prediction spot on. I said between rounds 3 and 5. Bosh, that's what we got. Wilder flat on his back. Pound for pound, yes sir. How you doing, mate? Yeah, something not right with Jalalov. Just seems like a bit of a bully. I don't know what it is, man, but yeah, just weird character. I don't know. The Ade thing, mailboxer punching woman. Any thoughts? What's the Ade thing? I don't know what the Ade thing is. You'll have to tell me. Oh yeah, I touched on that before. It's a bit mad. Like I actually I did a presentation way back in 2019 about the the T1000s and their place in sport, and I suggested that different sports should have a tier system, and that should be you should also take into consideration when an athlete transitions, because look, it's one of those things that's going to happen. It's a minute percentage of the population, absolutely minute. It's like it's such a small percentage of the population that I don't think it really needs a massive upheaval in uh, what do you call it, sports rules and regulations. But what I suggest is, okay, if you're going to, like, these people are going to exist in society in very small quantities, but they exist nevertheless, and some of them are going to want to compete in sport. Okay, how do we make it so that they can compete in sport, but then um, particularly women are not at risk or in danger or at a severe disadvantage? Um, and I suggested a tier system whereby sports with higher degrees of contact are in a higher tier, which are less accessible unless someone has been a T1000 for a long time, to the point where they have lost any male androgenic advantages, because that's what they are. They're advantages. Um, I don't know if that's going to be employed anytime soon. I highly doubt it, but that was my idea. But yeah, regardless of that, that was just waffle on my behalf. Um, Regardless of this person, because there are some people arguing, oh, this person was born a female, or this person isn't born a like I don't know this person. I don't. I'd be guessing. However, one thing that is clear is that for the World Championships, I believe this boxer failed a was it a gender test? I don't know what that consists of, but failed some kind of qualifying test, so they couldn't compete with women. But with the Olympics, oh yeah, go ahead, that's fine. Which, that in itself, forget all the other debate around it, that in itself says a lot. Okay, so when it comes to the IBA, I believe with the World Championships, you can't compete, but the Olympics and the IOC, you can. That's it's not good enough. That sucks. Doesn't make any sense. Um, all right, so pound for pound's going Bacoli, Miller, Crawford, Cruz. Fair enough. I agree with Miller, Crawford, Bacoli. No, I think Anderson gets this one. Not confident, but I think he might. Um, Ben picked Cambosos over Tio. Wow, that's it's a decent badge to have. JD, am I into hip hop? Not really. No. I have a very eclectic music taste. Hip hop, not really in the library, I must say. Um, oh yeah, of course. Come on, man. First all day. Not that it really means anything. One thing I've learned, and I think I mentioned this on my other channel, the Candyman, university is not all that. It really isn't. Take it from someone who's been at university for about 5 years. Um, you can go without, definitely. Depending on your line, the career you want to get into, you can probably go without it. Wilder has lost his spirit. He just seems happier now. So Wilder's just Wilder's just I don't know. He's a hillbilly, If he's happy, then good for him. But we can never forgive him what um for what he did in like freezing out Joshua and depriving us boxing fans of the fights we want to see. So I think it's about time he called it a day anyway. Um, Ade allegedly thought it was all okay. Well, look, people can have their own opinion. That's I'm I have a liberal view in the sense of I don't mind people expressing themselves in whatever way they want, expressing the opinions, the views, the cultural beliefs, religions, whatever. But if I don't agree with it, you're not going to make me conform. And that's exactly what we have these days with the whole woke movement. And it is piecemeal, but the woke movement as a whole, it's not about inclusion. It's not about diversity, all these stupid words. It's about making people conform, making the majority conform to the minority. And I think it's to steer society in a certain direction. Um, and I just want to say, I'm not suicidal. So if I end up dead, then it was the powers that be, speaking out on my massive platform of 3K subs. But that's I think it's clear to see, really, because it's not about uh, encouraging people with diverse backgrounds and opinions and beliefs to live in harmony. That's not what it's about. It isn't. It's about pushing a narrative and an agenda to try and socially engineer. That's really what it is. And so if Ade thinks that, why are people saying Khalif was born a man? Why what we doing right now? Stop this. This clearly needs to be looked at. Look, I haven't looked at it too tough. Um, I guess it can be a grey area, but measures need to be in place for when these grey areas arise. It shouldn't be as simple as, oh, you want to compete? Go ahead. You know, things like this, I think they need to be considered. Um, they need to be thought through a lot more because, one person's inclusion in a sport could mean the shattering of someone else's dreams. And that is the nature of competition, some may argue. Yeah, absolutely it is. But um, isn't it about isn't it about fairness? And nature isn't fair, but is that really what we're seeing? Is what we're seeing natural? I'm not sure. I don't think it is, but I guess we have to take on a case by case basis. But yeah, it's never going to be an easy situation. That's the bottom line. But yeah, given the context, it's not a good look. The way society's going, and it seems like sport, media, society as a whole is just teeming with this kind of stuff. So I don't think it's coincidence at all. Joe says, "Good to have you back." Thank you, Joe. Yeah, well, I still upload on YouTube. I just don't always get time to do the live streams, but I figured I'd do one tonight. Probably going to go for a couple more minutes because I actually thought I was only going to go for about half an hour. But yeah, here we are, 50 minutes in. But Joe, nevertheless, good to speak to you, mate. Ben says, clearly a sports scientist. Mate, I thought like this before I did a sports science degree. It's just think, use your brain. I'm not a very emotional person, so I don't get blinded by this kind of stuff. I'm willing to accept that people have different opinions to me. That's fine. I'd encourage that. We don't want to be in an echo chamber, but at the same time, if I disagree with something and if I don't acknowledge something that might be a core part of your belief system, I'm sorry, mate, but you're going to have to suck it up. Pardon the pun. Like, people have to get through their lives and they just have to understand that you're going to come across people who disagree with you. You know what? Who cares? It's just this whole. I'm not going to start. I'm not going to start. But yeah, it is what it is. I'll be here all night because I love a good rant. Ade said in a recent video that he favours Italma over Clark and Wardley. Fair. I think it's a little bit ambitious, but I think it depends. Like, because you can favour someone 5%, like how I favour Miller over Ruiz 5%. So if he said he strongly favoured Italma to beat them, like it's almost a done deal. I'd say, I don't know. These guys still are very capable, but in a couple more fights, I think Italma was ready. I think that guy. You guys know me. I don't buy into prospect hype that easily, but Italma, I think I see real talent there. It's just, yeah, he's fighting pies and he's knocking over bin men, but I think he's legit. Italma, just the way he moves, his understanding of boxing, I think he's the real deal. But he's got to prove it. He's got to prove it. That's my opinion based on what I've seen. Doesn't mean it's fact. So proof is in the pudding. Time will tell. Uh, wow. Philip just wants to see Wilder down and out, getting knocked out by Chisora. You know what? Chisora could probably do it. All it takes is one of those big overhand rights from Chisora, and Wilder's, back to square one, just like he was with Zhang. 286 says, I agree with you about university. I said that as someone who attended university in the early 2000s and then again in the early 2010s. Yeah, I can't even imagine what university was like in the early 2000s. But in the 2020s, which was my experience, write off. Don't bother. Um, it's the barrier for entry is so low, which obviously is to get the tuition fees. Um, then you have, because that barrier is so low. Excuse me. Uh, it's my watch going off. Um, because the barrier for entry is so low, everything gets diluted. Can you imagine that these days, at least on my course, a year, an academic year consisted of 24 weeks, and not that wasn't 24 weeks of teaching, that was 24 scheduled weeks, um, and probably about 10 or 11 of those would be teaching weeks. And that's 10 or 11 at most. So let's be generous. Let's say 10. So 10 weeks of teaching, 2 of tutorial. You're getting 20 weeks in an academic year for 3 years, 4 years maybe. What how much are you gonna learn in 20 weeks? Bear in mind, you're probably gonna have numerous modules, 2, 3, maybe even 4 modules in the space of, uh, 10 weeks, if that's 2, 3, 4 modules a term. Like, that just puts into perspective how diluted the quality of the education is. And that's why you're getting young people who are going through the whole degree process, coming out the other end 3 or 4 years later, like, I don't actually know anything. I don't actually know much about my industry. I don't have the practical skills to go out and join the workforce, become a freelancer or whatever. They don't, you know. When I was in my last year of my undergraduate, which was last year, uh, out of I think about 120ish students on my in my department, I think 5 of us had internships where we were getting practical experience, actually, like, uh, skills that we're going to use in our jobs. Um, Mad. And so when I finished my degree, I went straight into a job because I'd made connections, I'd developed my skill set, still developing now, don't get me wrong, but straight in. And a year later, not to brag, but come September, my wages, well, say my wages, the amount of money I get paid because I'm self-employed, but I work, I guess, a partnership, um, with the academy that I'm based at. I'm getting paid 2.5 times as much because I know the right people, I have practical skills, and my degree didn't teach me that. It was through an internship that I sought out myself, which happened to be, um, you know, on my campus, but not run by my university. So it's not what you know, it's who you know. And even then, if it was what you know, you're probably not going to learn all that much in in university, at least in my experience. Jennifer Billock was very interesting on transagenda. Um, Sounds like an Australian person saying it. Transagenda. Idea that it's about separating people from reality of their body, financed by big tech, about transhumanism. I agree. I agree. I've been saying that for years. I know it's a bit tinfoil hat, but I think that's it. You know, it's all about blurring lines. Um, yeah, I think we can all agree with what you're saying. We all know, we know deep state. We're both scientists. XY chromosomes equal man to me. That was just, yeah. It's obviously there are grey areas. I'm not going to deny that. You're always going to have outliers, but really, in this day and age, in 2024, are we being led to believe that all of these people in society and in sports are outliers? No, I don't think so. I don't buy that. Um, so yeah, it's a real, it's just tarred the whole thing, you know. We're starting to get a little bit off topic here. I know I said anything goes, but I meant within the realms of boxing mostly. Yes, I saw the naughty prison officer in HMP Wandsworth. Um, and I also saw her I'm not gonna I can't even call it an apology video. She didn't apologize. It was a reaction video. Yeah, she is yeah, uh it just depresses me seeing young women like that. Um, it really makes me count my blessings. And I know this is getting a bit personal, but I've been with Mrs. Outmatch for a long time, since I was a teenager, and I'm now uh, touching 30. I think it's fair to say I'm not far off. So I've been with her for a long time, and I look at the state of like male female relations and the dating scene, and I'm counting my blessings that I have a good woman who is worth my time, worth my affection, and is actually uh, a decent, upstanding human being. Because that seems to be a very rare species these days. Um, JD, uh, well, man, you live and you learn. We're not always on the same path as each other. Like, we're all going to have different lives. The worst thing you can do in my experience is compare, because you'll drive yourself insane. Just make sure you learn from your mistakes. Um, Shame that we never saw Vlad versus Prime Wilder versus Old Vlad. I was class of 2002. Wait, so you addressed two topics in one comment. Vlad versus Prime Wilder versus Old Vlad. I'd still give Old Vlad a good chance, to be fair. If Wilder landed, it would all be over, I think. But I think those sparring sessions and the rumors they've come close to being confirmed without being confirmed in terms of footage. But I think Vlad probably had Wilder's number potentially. Um, but that would be a good fight. That'd be a shootout, man. That really would be whoever lands first, in my opinion. And this will be the last one because it's now past midnight. Um, JD asks, "Will I remain as a boxing coach?" No, I will not. That's another change because I'm taking on a lot more work responsibility. Um, I am stepping away from my responsibilities as a boxing coach. I've gradually kind of come away from it year after year. I had a really talented young guy, I think he was 14 or 15, getting better every week. Um, really proud of him. Um, and he's developed amazingly well, not just because I know what I'm talking about, but because, he's a very bright and talented young man. But I can't, I relied on coaching, boxing for a while. It helped me out when times were rough and I didn't have a lot of money. But now I've just got to move on to a new chapter now, to like, truth be told. So that's what I'm doing. Moving on to the next big thing, trying to make some waves in life and move on to bigger and better things. So no, I'll my position in boxing will be reduced to just this channel, basically. I'll probably swing by and see a couple of my old charges and my fellow coaches here and there, and maybe even do a little bit of a session, hit the bags, hold the pads, stuff like that. But no, um, boxing is not such a big part of my life these days. Just got to move on. It's a natural progression, but it is what it is. It's all good in the hood. But that is all from me for now. I've gone on for twice as long as I expected to. I will be catching you guys most likely on Sunday when I do some kind of reaction videos to the fights on Saturday evening. So I'll catch up with you guys sometime on Sunday around then. Thank you for tuning in. It's good to talk to you guys. It's been a while. I'll try not to leave it so long next time. But thank you guys for joining me for the past hour. Hope you have a great weekend. And enjoy the boxing tomorrow evening. So catch you guys later and peace.